He says, I'm not fighting, and then he flies away, and that's what I'm like, really. I say, I'm not fighting, I'm just chilled out, and then I'm like, attack, attack, attack. I was just thinking about history, how it repeats itself, you know. I suppose if you think about it, when I went to that rave party, you know, it's kind of like that might have been the moment that I died and got transferred into Astroboy in a way. It's kind of like what happened to me. It's like I transferred into a different person, but I was still in my same body. It was, yeah, sort of, I just totally changed my whole perspective. So that might be the catalyst for me to understand how that change happened, so I accept it. Whereas if it might have happened to me as a boy, I might have died, my spirit might have not accepted the transfer into a robot, you know. So it could be just, you know, on sort of a merry-go-round of this is like, you know, this is like Microsoft and all these other people attacking me with their robots, and not these guys, they're the good ones, I think. All these other big ones, those big ones there, that's like Microsoft, Apple, probably Elon Musk or someone, or all attacking Astro. Poor little Astro sitting at home with Trigger, just, you know, eating humble pie or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, it might be like that's how history works. You know, it goes around, it revolves in a revolution till some catalyst happens to change it all, you know. There might be something I have to do in my life to sort of prove myself or prove faith, or, you know, it might just be the way I am, the way I'm, you know, that whole transformation might be part of why Clark Kent transfers into Superman, or Batman turns into Bruce Wayne, or the other way around, or, you know, Spider-Man turns into Spider-Man. It might be something I went through at this rave party. Because when I took that trip, it was called a Superman, which is really interesting because it's sort of almost fate, isn't it? You know, when I was a little kid, like I used to dress up in nappies. We used to put nappies on when I was this, you know, 10-year-old boy, and put on a Superman cape and the Superman chest and run around the streets of a night saying we're Superman or Super Baby. So it started back there. I was even before all that. You know, I was a little boy, so I used to do it with my friend Craig. So yeah, he sort of wasn't totally into it, but I was like convinced, you know, I'm like, I'm going to be Superman, you know. I'm not convinced, but I was like really trying to be in the character, you know. And Craig was probably doing his best, but he was a bit older, you know. And yeah, bro, Trigger's not convinced. He's having a sleep. Anyway, I don't know if I should show much of this because it's copyright, but yeah, I'm not showing the sound, so... They're all having a go at him, aren't they? Just keep hassling him. That's what I feel like with his internet hack or whatever's happened, or something on the internet, you know. Anyway, I always bounce back, don't I? So, you know. It's like when I was in Mansfield when this first happened to me, and everyone was sort of bullying me around town, you know, calling me names and everything, and I was just bouncing it off and getting back up. I felt like I was getting knocked down. I have to keep getting up and getting up. I kept getting up. I just kept getting up, no matter what people threw at me, so... that's life though, you know. I always think it's like going to the beach, you know. You don't always enjoy everything, do you? The sand's hot and burns your feet, and the rocks are sharp, and the water's salty, and, you know, messes up your hair, and, you know, gets in your crack and everything. You get all sort of itchy, and it's not always pleasant at the beach, but at the same time, you know, you're there with your family, you're playing ball, you're seeing the pretty girls and boys, and, you know, under the beach umbrella having your lunch, and it's all very pleasant. But there's also that same time, you've got to take the good with the bad, you know. So I guess that's life. And if you're going to stand up, say I'm a Superman, you've got to take a bit of a flogging, I suppose. And not that you want to, you just want to be accepted. But maybe that acceptance takes time. And I often think I'm 1,000 years ahead of everyone. I always feel like my perception or my growth or something's 1,000 years ahead. I don't know if people will catch up or whether that's real or not, but it's what it feels like sometimes, like I'm a bit evolved than other people. Even at school, like I was in just a normal human body, but I always felt like I was watching over everyone, like a dad, sort of doting on everyone, and entertaining everyone, keeping everyone happy, make sure everyone was safe. And Yeah, it's a funny sort of growing up as a kid, and then I went through all that at the rave party when I was 20. Though maybe that character in that movie, Astroboy, is more of a grown up, or maybe the time frame will sort of shift a bit, and I'll still be a little boy when it happens, or if it does happen to me, But yeah, I kind of look like Astro when I was a little boy. It's a cute little thing, a little innocent little boy. I sort of see that as these two characters. This one is my dad, and Dad's a bit like that. He's a bit like that wolf that sits there sort of smoking a cigarette and clicking his fingers, that wolf in the cartoons. Dad's sort of like that. And the other guy, Mr. Elephant, he's a bit like Uncle Roy. If Roy ever comes back, he's passed away. But yeah, I guess Dad and Roy are kind of like that guy and Dr. Elephant. It's sort of, he looks like him, anyway. But it might be a whole different ball game, but that's just how I feel about it. That a lot of these stories are inspired by Christ. So it's sort of inspired by my life at some point. And that maybe that whole crucifixion is sort of a transformation that I went through at some point that's repeating or evolving or it's affected the world. I often think Spider-Man's webbing is sort of, because it comes out of his wrist, is sort of related to that as well. All these characters, these superheroes I'll probably be at some point until the world marries me and keeps up, and then they can be that as well, or whatever they want to be, inherit that superpower. Because, a lot of these other manga characters have god power and they have wind and all these magical elements, but that's all just god power. But when you have the superpower, it's sort of a fabric of existence that you have to all be in agreement with, otherwise it just causes too much destruction. That superpower, it has to be married in love, in agreement, otherwise it's destructive, and you don't want that sort of force happening in the world that's going to break the world apart or something. You want it all to be in agreement and all mutual and all loving. You want a loving, happy world by the end of it all. You don't want this whole process to end badly. You want it all to be a utopian sort of Eden at the end of it all, where we all get along. We're just learning how not to be assholes, basically, and bad to each other. We're learning all to get along, I think. So hopefully we keep learning and we keep getting along and accepting each other's faults and failings and also enjoying each other's strengths. And we actually end up somewhere, Trig? Trig's had a gut full of today. Nah, Trig's all right. But he thinks about all the animals and see what goes on. He worries about animals. So yeah. Anyway, hopefully we'll get there one day. Over and out for now. From me, signing off.